All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. It's that time of the week. It's time for some more OHR. Today we arrive at Bahrain for round number 5 of this season 22 championship, and I am your commentator, More Games, and joined alongside me is Tom Carnes. And are you looking forward to what is going to be the first sprint race of the season in this P2 tier?
I am very much so. We've already had a sprint race at Monza earlier in the season. But yes, we are looking forward to a sprint as well as the main race. It'll be a sprint race of 10 laps and then a 29-lap race here at the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakhir, in the capital of Manama. So we've got the one-shot qualifying coming up first off. So that'll be done very, very quickly. So we've got a full grid of 20 drivers in, including looking at Bowen, who we haven't seen yet this season, and the other driver who we haven't seen yet this season either, I think, is Jason, in whichever machine he'll be racing in. I can have a look at that whilst we speak. But yes, I'm definitely looking forward to tonight's action more. So we'll be getting underway with one-shot quali very, very shortly.
And it should definitely be an exciting one. And yeah, thank you for correcting me there. Our first sprint race was at Monza, which was the last round, which feels like an age ago after the Christmas break. But thankfully, we are back for some more racing action here in One Hub Racing. And well, the racing is always absolutely fantastic in this P2 tier. So I personally am very excited for today's Grand Prix. But in this one-shot qualifying session with the drivers, are now getting ready for. There are going to be a few grid penalties today as the drivers getting their setups ready under the floodlights of this Bahrain circuit. And well, the grid penalties today are going to be for Waitsy, Colin R. Mason, and Casper Axlock and Delta Hunter. So 4 big names there. Colin R. Mason, Casper Axlock, whose new PSN is Scorpion, and Delta Hunter are all going to have grid penalties. So they will not be qualifying in this one-shot qualifying session, although they do get the chance to race in the sprint race and hopefully get themselves a decent position for the main Grand Prix itself. But those are the top 4 in the championship as it stands. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see how this race plays out because those 4 drivers, like I said, top 4 in the championship, and the 2 Red Bulls of Scorpion and Delta Hunter are currently separated by just 1 point. There's only 1 point between them, and then you have Colin R. Mason in 3rd place, who's been scoring some very consistent points. He's finished in the top 5 in every single race, including preseason, so showing that consistency is key. And with Casper's recent form, getting that race win and a podium last time out, he is in the hunt for this championship. But we are now getting ready for this one-shot qualifying session. There's going to be a lot of pressure under the drivers now to perform on this one singular lap time that they are going to be able to set. So expect to see a lot of invalidations and possibly mistakes from a few of these drivers. But as you can see, the drivers are now getting out on track and starting their first lap times of the session. Let's ride on board, well, not with Axlock. I think he's actually going to be retiring from the session here. Let's ride on board with Gazaman as we head into turn 1. You can see into turn 1 using the curb on the entry. He's gone a little bit deep into there as we come through turn 2. You want to cut that curb as much as possible. He's had a little bit of a slide of the rear end there. That is not going to help his lap time whatsoever. We now make our way down into turn 4 as he turns in, hitting that apex quite nicely, and then opening up the steering to use the exit and use the width of the track on the exit now into this very tricky middle sector, and a lot of high speed turns but also low speed turns as we enter the hairpin of turn number 8. And then the double left-hander of turn 9 and turn 10. Super tricky to find a braking point and get the trail braking right into here. But Gazman has actually taken quite a nice line going through there. As it stands, he's currently P8 in this session. He's now making his way into turn 11. Want to hit this apex on the inside line, which he's just about missed. Don't want to use that curb on the exit. Can really unsettle these ground effect cars. The flat-out turn now of turn 12, which brings us to turn 13. Very hard to spot your apex coming into here, but he's hit quite a nice one. Now he's moved himself up into P7, and it's just 2 more turns to go. The final 2 turns of turn 14 and 15, although turn 14, or 15 I should say, doesn't feel like much of a turn, but as you can see, using the width of the track there as it bends around the final turn and across the line, it is going to be a 29.4 for Gazaman. But the man who will be starting on pole position is going to be Futile Rydog, and what a lap that was from the Haas driver at 28.7 if I'm not mistaken, and I think that is his first pole position, although it is only going to be for the sprint race and not the main race itself. But you can see J-Luke there in P2 and Lukey in P3. But quite a mixed up grid for today's sprint race, obviously with the top 4 all taking grid penalties. Should be an interesting sprint race indeed.
Definitely so. So the ones at the back are the ones to look out for in the sprint, a 10-lap sprint coming up. But looking at the sprint results, so Vutel will start at the front alongside Luke. Then it's Lukey and Cam Mum on row 2. Then it's Jason and Aero Specialist on row 3, followed by Gazaman and Jamie Met on row 4. Evil Dragon and Peru rounding out the top 10. Speakai and Jordan are 11th and 12th, followed by Ols, Smithy and Bowen in 15th place. And it's Colin, Casper, Axlock, Waitsy and Delta Hunter making up the grid for the sprint that is coming up very, very shortly. And whilst we wait for the sprint to commence, it's time to mention One Hub Racing's sponsors and partners. We begin with Next Level Racing, who sponsor the league by providing its prizes. Pure Sim Gear, who sponsor the league by providing a new product, not launched yet, to the driver with the most podiums. Gamergoo, who sponsored the league by providing a Gamergoo samples to the trophy winners. Azatec Sim Sports, who sponsored the league by providing a multitude of prizes with different ways to win them, including the driver with the most fastest lap wins, a set of Forte pedals, and the driver with the shortest combined qualifying time wins, a set of Forte pedals and boots. On to the partners, First Team, who partner One Hub Racing in support of the official apparel. ERT, who partner the league with the Go and Get Tough Award and lead trophies. And finally, SimGrid, powered by SimGrid, of course, with the season's results, standings, and community and platform, etc. Of course, you can find all the results and standings on the SimGrid Racing website, and you should be able to find One Hub Racing all on there. We're just a few seconds away from the start of the sprint, so we should go down for the start of the race. There should not be a formation lap, so as we watch the 5 lights illuminate in front of the drivers, we should see them race into turn 1. No, it's the formation lap, so I take my word back there. So we've got a little bit more time to sort of run down on everything. So let's have a look at who is starting on what, because I imagine some drivers will be starting on a different compound of tyre to others. It's not that much different, actually. The only drivers going for a different tyre compound to the others are Jamie Met in 8th, Ols in 13th, and Casper in 17th. They're all starting on the hard tyres. The rest are all starting on the mediums. Now, to make you aware, there is a point system for the sprint races in One Hub Racing. We did have a sprint race last time out at Monza, so there should be 12 points for a victory, 11 for second, 10 for third, all the way to 12th place. So it's a 1 point difference between each position inside the top 12. There's no point for the driver qualifying on pole for the sprint, and there's definitely no point for the driver setting the fastest lap. So this is very much not only for points in regards to finishing the top 12, but also it will determine the grid for the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, and you can see very interestingly there, Jamie Met, Alls and Casper, like I mentioned, on the hard compounded tyre, and well, obviously they want to save themselves a set of medium compound tyres for the main race itself, so we better keep an eye on their strategies for the main event. Everyone else starting on the medium compound tyres, they're only going to have 1 set of mediums for the main race itself, so we could definitely see some more interesting strategies with the mandatory 2-stop rule here in One Hub Racing. So yeah, already the race hasn't even, the sprint race even hasn't even begun, and we're already seeing strategy come into play here among the drivers. And with Futile Rydog, J-Luke and the rest of the top 7 all starting on the mediums, they want to get the best result possible in this sprint race and make sure they get that good starting position for the main event itself. Although if you think about it, the main event for a race win is 20 points, but here in the sprint race it's 12 points for a race win, so not much of a difference. So it's all to play for in this sprint sprint race, and the drivers will be pushing as hard as possible for each and every point. And the bottom four will be, or the bottom five even, who all took grid penalties, will be fully focused on gaining as many positions as possible on this race start to get themselves in the best position for what is the main event itself. But we're now getting ready for the sprint race start. And well, would you like to leave us off, Tom?
Yes, absolutely so. So we're just waiting for the last drivers to make their way onto the grid. There's Delta Hunter taking his place in the Red Bull. He could do with a good haul of points in the sprint if he can make his way through the field as quickly as possible. Well, the 5 red lights are in front of the drivers, or about to. Once they do come on, everyone should be in position, and here we go. The 5 red lights in front of the drivers. When they go out, we'll be racing in the sprints. It's lights out, and away we go. It's a brilliant start from Lukey in the Williams, who's got alongside the Haas of Futile before they even get into turn 1. So Lukey leads. There's a McLaren going round at the back with Futile in second place. So Lukey leads, Futile second, and then we've got the Alpine of Luke driving to third place. Jason making a good start there in the Ferrari in fourth place. Then it's Cam K Mo in fifth in the Mercedes, followed by Aero Specialist and Evil Dragon in sixth and seventh. Gazman, Speakai and Smithy are 8th, 9th and 10th. Axlock, one of the drivers to look out for, is already up to 11th.
An amazing start there for Axlock, who's moved up so many positions already, and you can see they're still swapping around. Speakai gets past the Haas car of Smithy, who's had a spin coming through turn number 6 there, and he is now going to fall all the way down to the back of the grid. And if you take a look at the position changes here, it gives you a better idea of what kind of race starts everyone has. Although J-Luke has made a mistake there, he's gone wide at turn 11. That has now lost him 2 positions, not only to his teammate, but also Jason, but he gets past Aero Specialist there and back up into a top 4 position, but that mistake has now cost him that 1 second gap to Jason ahead of him, and that is going to be quite costly once the DRS is enabled. Axlock still on the move. He's very, very close to the back of Speed Kai as we come into turn 11 now. He'll be looking to get past as quickly as possible, but as far as race starts go, it's been a pretty decent one for the Red Bull driver, who's going to have a little look to the inside at turn 14. He's not going to commit to that move just yet. He's going to wait for this long pit straight, as he's most likely going to be making a dive into turn 1, although Waitsy behind him and his teammate have both gained 9 and 8 positions. So the drivers who took grid penalties have already gained a massive amount into turn 1. Now Axlock has a look to the inside, but he's not as committed on the brakes as Speed Kai, and for now he's going to have to hold that P9 position. Speed Kai maintaining P8 for now, but he's under a lot of pressure from Axlock, who's pulling alongside into turn 4, and with that inside line, he's got the superior line, and he's gotten past Speed Kai and up into a top 8 positions. He has now gained 10 positions off of 2 laps. That is absolutely amazing to see, and obviously getting 9 positions on his first lap of this sprint race. So really making the most of what he can. But Delta Hunter, the man who's P2 in this championship by just 1 point, has had a spin, and on the exit of turn 7, he now falls all the way down to P18, and all that hard work moving himself up into a top 12 position has now been undone, and he's got to do it all over again. And remember, this is a sprint race. There are no pit stops, predicted pit stop strategy, 0 stop for the drivers, so he's got no advantage of pit stops. As you can see, Gazaman now getting past Jamie Met there and moving himself up into P16, although neither of those 2 drivers will be quite happy with their starts, both losing 9 positions and tumbling down from their original starting position. Alls and ERT Jordan, also 2 drivers who have made mistakes in the opening laps, but a lot of drivers, especially who are now in the midfield, that started towards the back of the grid, are now in a good position. But there's now a change for the race lead. Lukey is having to dive down the inside of Utah Rydog into turn 1. They're still side by side coming through turn 3. Lukey is going to have this inside line as we come into turn 4. Is he going to be later on the brakes? No. Futile Rydog tries to carry the speed around the outside, but Lukey gets the better exit. He's trying to cover him off into turn 6, and Futile Rydog is going to have to concede the position for now, but he's definitely going to have a chance to get back now that the DRS is enabled, although he's got plenty of pressure from the Red Bull behind of TIR Jason.
Lukey ran wide towards the end of the previous lap at turn 13, hence why Futile got close up to him and made a move down the start finish straight to take the lead. But Lukey held his nerve there and kept himself in front, but he won't want to be making too many mistakes like that, as track limits can catch up with you later on in the race. That's the last thing you want, really, if you're one of those in the points, especially in the race lead. So Luki just needs to make sure he keeps his Williams on track, which he's doing so right now, but there's still some time for that to change should he make another mistake. Futsal doing well in second place, and Jason doing a very good job there in the Ferrari in third place. He's looking to make a move on the Haas as they head into the penultimate turn of the circuit, and Jason lines up a move as he got him sewn up. Now they're going to be using DRS on the pit straight, apart from Luki, who is the leader of it all. So I wonder if he'll be in the lead for too long, or too much longer, as Futsal looks to make a move directly into the inside, and Futsal may as well take the lead here, but he's gone way too deep, and now it's three abreast heading into turn two, and they all managed to avoid contact. That was very good racing between these two, or three I should say. I thought it was going to roll in tears for a moment, but thankfully they stayed out of each other's way as Luki maintains the lead at the front. Futsal getting back in front of the Ferrari of Jason heading into turn four, and now the two Alpines of Lucan Aerospecialist and the Mercedes of Camco Mum all fancy a benefit as well. So we are in for a brilliant fight to the checker flag of this sprint. Who's going to come out on top in this one? Well, I can say that Axok is right up behind the second Mercedes of Evil Dragon, who is in 7th place. Axok could well have disposing him very, very quickly. And now we've got a spin. It's the other Mercedes. No, it's not. It's the Haas. It's the Haas of Futsal from second, having a spin at turn 10. So Futsal from second place is falling down to the bottom end of the top 10. That's a really bad blow there for him. And now Jason has moved up into second place. I didn't see what happened there from my angle, but it appears that Jason may have had a bit of a coming together with him, or perhaps with Lukey. And Aerospecialist the next to go for a spin. He's gone off track and he rejoins behind Casper in 11th place. So action up and down the field already as Axok makes a move on Camco Mum as they come towards turn 14. He stays behind him because he will want the DRS heading on to the pit straight. So Axok up behind the Mercedes, who ducks into the pit. So I wonder if there's been damage to that Mercedes. He stays out of the way. And now we've got a drag race between the Ferrari, the Red Bull and the Williams, all with DRS because they were all behind Camco Mum at the DRS zone, and Aerospecialist has retired. He's in the pits, so he feels that's enough for him. I'm surprised he didn't just carry on, to be honest with you. But he's not going to be scoring any points, and Axel spins into the gravel trap at turn 2. And he's beached. He's reset to track, so I wonder if the stewards may take a look at that, because you're not really supposed to use the reset to track, but he was beached in the gravel trap, so he may get away with that, but he's falling out of the points.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big blow. You can see a lot of the heavy hitters are making mistakes at this Bahrain circuit, and a very tricky circuit as well. Delta Hunter down in P14. Oh, and you're... Wait. Oh, yeah, that's ERL Smitty, who's made a mistake there, and he's now fallen all the way down to P14 in the Haas car. And you can see he's gone very wide there at P11 and got himself a 3-second time penalty there as well.
Yeah, he's got rear wing damage. He hit the barrier very, very hard on the exit of turn 9. That's why he went straight on there. So you can see he's not even making an effort to carry on like he is. So he just needs to take it very, very gently through the next few corners and just pit in, because once that rear wing is damaged, that is very much game over, unfortunately, unless you are prepared to carry on and just try and score a point or something. But there's no point in him doing that. So if I was Smithy, I'll just get in the pits and retire from the session and save the medium set for the race later on.
Yeah, definitely. Rear wing damage is quite brutal on this game. Speed Kai now making a move for a top 4 position. He gets himself past Evil Dragon, and Speed Kai doing quite nicely for himself, moving all the way from P11 to what is now P4. And Waitsy is in the top 6, I should say. The leading driver who took a grid penalty in that one-shot qualifying session. You can see Evil Dragon is now going side by side through turn 4, and that's contact between the two. Thankfully, both drivers keeping it on track there, but very, very close between the Mercedes and the Ferrari. And you can see that's not the only battle that's going on. Gazaman getting past VE Boeing there, and moving himself up into a top 10 position, and the two Aston Martins battling away for some points in this race. Delta Hunter currently P12 in this race, and you can see there's a lot of drivers who have had mistakes. Obviously, Kamke has fallen all the way down to P18 after boxing to repair his front wing, and we're now seeing Delta Hunter, who's also struggled in this race, but he's now making the move on Boeing as we head into turn 11. He has the inside line, he brakes later, and he gets that move done and covers off that outside line and gets a better exit over Boeing, and he moves himself up into a top 11 position now. And P1 Peru is also looking to get in on this action. As you can see, Boeing gets himself a 3-second time penalty for running just a little bit wide there on the exit of turn 12. This is actually putting him under pressure from P1 Peru behind. He's not going to look for a move just yet. He will get the advantage of DRS on this pit straight now. Casper in P8 is trying to make the move on Futile Rydog, who obviously had that spin. He's now down in P8 and battling with the man who's P4 in this championship. He tries to go for a switchback move there. It almost works with Casper on the hard compounded tyre, but Futile Rydog is able to hold, or is not able to make that switchback move, and he is going to have to maintain this P8 position. So the Haas and the AlphaTauri battling for a top 7 position. If you remember, Casper on the hard compounded tyres, so he's in the top 7 and he's on the hard compounded tyres, and he started towards the back of the grid. So it's been an amazing effort so far from the AlphaTauri driver, and one he can be very happy with. We're on lap 7 of 10. There's not too long left to go in this sprint race, and as you can see, the top 3 have started to spread out a little bit. Lukey leads this sprint race with Jason behind him in P2, J-Luke in P3, and now Waitsy is looking to get himself up into the top 5 after starting all the way down in P19. Tries to go for a switchback move. That's never going to work at a turn like turn 11, where the speed you have to carry in is just so high. But as they come into turn 13, Evil Dragon is not going to have the advantage of DRS down the pit straight. It's going to be a perfect opportunity for Waitsy to try and pounce here. But you can see there's also a battle going on behind Casper and Futile Rydog continuing to battle. Casper is trying to get into the DRS of Waitsy ahead of him. That would definitely help him defend from the Haas car behind, but it does not look like he's got it just yet. Speed Kai now making the move on J-Luke, and Futile Rydog is looking to the inside as we head into turn 1. Futile Rydog breaks much later than the hard compound tire run of Casper, who tries to go for a switchback move, and he's actually pulled it off. He's made a switchback move at turn 1, and Charles Leclerc-esque there, and he maintains that P7 position. A great defense there from the AlphaTauri driver, and he's trying to hold out as long as possible on these hard compounded tyre.
So Dance Hunter in 11th place at the moment. That would get him 2 championship points. It may not feel like much for him, but his rival for the championship, Axlock, is further down in 16th place, so he may well be closing in the championship. In fact, he would move in front of Axlock, I should say, in the championship race going into the Grand Prix later on. He'll want to try and get more than that because Gazman is holding him up there in the Aston Martin. And we've got Evil Dragon and Waitsy fighting it out there. So Waitsy, the highest of those that took a grid drop, is up there in 6th place. He's done a tremendous job already to get himself up there in P6. So can he keep it up and get closer to the Mercedes and pull up a move with DRS? He'll have to hope that Evil Dragon's not going to be within a second of J-Luke in front, because otherwise he'll get the DRS also. He hasn't, so this is Waits' opportunity to pull off an overtake here and get another championship point to his credit. There's a spin in sector 2. That'll be Ols, who's spun at turn 11, but it's continued, and that has allowed Cam K-Mum to move up a position. Cam K-Mum pitted for the soft compound, but he's not really making any lights work. And Waitsy diving to the inside. It was a late manoeuvre there, and Evil Dragon had to make sure he left space at the apex, and Waitsy got a very poor exit coming out of turn 2 and 3, and now he's falling behind Casper.
Yeah, very aggressive there, and an extremely late move from Waitsy. Oh yeah, you can see there's a lot of battling going on between these two.
Yeah, well, it was a domino effect because Casper hit Evil Dragon, then Waitsy hit Casper, and Futile hit Waitsy. So it was a domino effect at turn 4, which saw a number of them making contact with each other, but thankfully they all kept pointing the right way. So we've got just a couple of laps to go in this one. It has gone quick, as we expected it to, as Futile looks to make up for lost time. There's contact between Casper and Waitsy, and Casper has spun on the exit of turn 10. I think it was accidental, but Casper will not be very happy with that at all. He may have a case on that afterwards, but It was a coming together that allowed Futile and Collins make their way through and up into 6th and 7th places respectively. Evil Dragon stays in 5th position. Luke looking content there in 4th place, as are the top 3. It looks so that Ferrari are going to get both cars in the points, or even on the podium in fact, in the sprints. If you remember last time out in Monza, Ferrari came away with absolutely nothing from it, which saw a bad dent not only to the drivers' hopes for the championship, but also the teams as well, as Red Bull are bolting clear of the rest, heading towards the second half of the campaign. I'm just looking to see if there's going to be any changes of position. Well, I can tell you that Delta Hunter is about to make a move on Casper, coming towards turn 1. This is important for Delta Hunter as far as the championship is concerned. He's up to 9th place now, or has he? Because Casper's still there. Delta needs to make sure he leaves space on the exit, which he does so, and that should be him through up to 9th place as they come towards turn 4 now. Does Delta Hunter leave enough space? He does, and Casper's gone for a spin. So Casper's race has gone from bad to worse, and he's falling out of the points. What a shame.
Yeah, that's really disappointing. He did so much work on those hard compounded tyres to get from the back of the grid all the way to the front, and now you can see he's struggling with overheating. He just needs to slow it down now, because it looks like he will be finishing in P16 in this sprint. So yeah, you saw just that contact with Waitsy really disrupting the flow of his sprint race. But it is now a lap 10 of 10, and Lukey has pretty much dominated this race ever since the halfway point. He was able to get out into the lead and kept that gap between himself and Jason at 2.2 seconds, so a very good job from him. Meanwhile, P1 Peru is trying to make the move on Boeing before the end of this race. I don't think any more drivers are going to be making moves, although possibly P1 Peru. He's using all of his ERS to try and get past the Aston Martin of Boeing. And as they head into turn 14, you can see trying to find a way around the outside. Boeing is going to defend that inside line, but P1 Peru tries to go for a switchback move. Both drivers having snaps at the back ends, but it looks like Boeing will be finishing ahead of P1 Peru, although their penalties drop them behind ERT Jordan. But Lukey is going to be your sprint race winner and your pole man for today's main Grand Prix. That'll be 12 points to his name, which will definitely help him out. And, well, pole position will do quite nicely for the Williams driver. And both Ferrari starting in the top 3. Possibly some teamwork is going to be going on between them. Obviously, they both used to be at Speed Esports, but Jason seems to have moved to a new team called TIR. So maybe that team play won't come in as we've usually seen it. But here are your results for the sprint race itself. Lukey in P1 and getting 12 points to his name. Jason is able to finish in P2 with Speed Guy in P3. J-Luke gets into those top 4 positions. Evil Dragon getting a nice top 5 for himself. Futile Rydog, after that spin, started on pole position, but fell down to P6. Colnar Mason from the back of the grid, slow and steady, wins the race, and consistency is key. So he's got himself back up to P7 to get himself some 5 points in this race. Waitsy getting P8 after getting a grid penalty. Delta Hunter also the same, getting a grid penalty and finishing P9. Gazaman in P10. ERT Jordan in P11, and Boeing rounds out the top 12 and will be scoring 1 point from this sprint race. But you can see Axlock finishing outside of the points paying positions there, along with Casper in the Alpha Tauri. So those two drivers are going to have to work quite hard now for this race at Bahrain. But we saw a lot of drivers making errors, especially on the exits. We saw a lot of drivers having snaps of the back end, struggling to get on the accelerator and get the traction out of the turns that they needed. And also overheating seemed to be a problem for some of the drivers and having those spins down in the middle sector. But this sprint race now gives them a little bit of practice for the main event. They know what the grip levels are like. They know how to run with this heavy fuel load and with the medium compounded tires. So hopefully they can use what they've learned from that sprint and help themselves out in this Grand Prix itself. And well, two-stop strategy here. We saw some of the drivers, including Casper, saving a set of medium compound tires for the race itself. Do you think that's really going to come into play and possibly help him in this race?
I didn't quite read that question there, but I was just thinking about race strategy itself. Because the medium tyre is ideally the tyre you want to start the race on to get a good launch off the line. I will expect drivers to make a stint on the hard compound maybe. But having said that, you have to make at the very minimum 2 pit stops in one hub racing. It is different to a lot of league race in a lot of the other leagues that some of the drivers may be competing. So it's at least 2 pit stops they have to make. So it could well be a medium, soft, but that will depend on the choice of tyre allocations that the drivers have chosen before qualifying had begun. Some may have 2 mediums left in their pocket. Some may only have 1, which means that they'll have to try and make the medium compound last, or go on the hard compound at some point and then do the other 2 stints on the softs. And I suppose strategy could come into play, couldn't it? So yeah, so running down on the grid then, Lukey's on pole ahead of Jason and Speakai in 2nd and 3rd place, with Luke on the 2nd row alongside. Then it's Evil Dragon and Futile on row number 3, with Colin and Waitsy in 7th and 8th. Delta Hunter in 9th place. He did very well to come through from the back to get himself up there ahead of Gazaman, Jordan and Bowen in 11th and 12th. Peru and Axok are 13th and 14th. Axok with a lot of work to do in this race. Jamie Mer and Casper are on row 8, followed by Cam K Mum and Ols. Smithy and Aero Specialist round out the grid for today's action. Now, looking at the tyre compounds that the drivers are starting on, the only driver starting on the hards is Aero Specialist. We've got Lukey, Jason, Speakai, Colin, Waitsy, Jordan, Bowen and Axel starting on the mediums. All the others are on the softs. So I would expect the likes of Luke, Evil Dragon and Futile to make lightning quick starts and get themselves up to the front as quickly as possible and make the tyres last, really, before they all start pitting in.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, I think the ideal strategy here today is going to be a soft, medium strategy. But obviously a lot of the drivers aren't going to have access to that after using one set of mediums for the sprint race itself. Although Casper, he's going to be starting in P16, but he has set himself up quite nicely for today's Grand Prix. Hopefully that strategy should help him out there. And, yeah, I think a lot of the other drivers are actually going to have to try out the hard compounded tyres unless they want to go for quite a risky strategy of soft, medium, soft, as Speakai giving us a nice little 360 there as he arrives onto the grid. But yeah, the top 3 on the mediums, but the 3 behind them on the soft compounded tyres. So they're going to have plenty of pressure from the race start. And well, I'm assuming J-Luke and Evil Dragon and also Futile Rydog are going to be trying to get up into those top 3 positions off of this race start. But the drivers are now all lined up on the grid and getting ready for today's Grand Prix start. As you can see, the lights are coming on. We have 3, 4, 5 red lights. They're gone and we're away, and it looks like a good start there for Lukey as he's pulling away from Jason already off this race start. J-Luke has gotten a good start in the Alpine with Speakai really struggling. He's already fell down to P6 now. He's battling it out with Futile Rydog, Evil Dragon and J-Luke going side by side, coming through turn 3. Evil Dragon has already moved himself up into a podium position. Jason looking to take the race lead now. He has a look around the outside of Lukey and he cannot make that move work just yet on his medium compound of tyres. Speakai is under pressure from Delta Hunter, who looks to the inside coming into turn number 6. They're going side by side through these high speed bends of the middle sector, thankfully getting through it, and Delta Hunter finds himself on top. Gazaman absolutely sends it to the inside. Coming into turn number 8, he shoves Speakai off the track. This has allowed Waitsy to get through into P7 on the medium compounded tyre. J-Luke and Evil Dragon still battling it out for that podium position. Futile Rydog trying to take advantage of this by getting a better exit, but you can see he has not gotten up into that P4 position just yet. But you know he is going to be looking for absolutely any opportunity to get past the Alpine of J-Luke and make the most of the soft compound of tyres. Meanwhile, Evil Dragon, after all his battling with J-Luke, has lost a 1 second gap to the top 2, although I'm sure he'll be able to recover that with the advantage of grip that he has relative to the Williams and the Ferrari ahead of him. Jason now getting quite close to the back of Lukey, and he could possibly be looking for a move. He's using a lot of his ERS now on this pit straight. Lukey leading the Grand Prix after lap 1, but it looks like that lead is going to change. Jason moves up into P1. Meanwhile, J-Luke and Evil Dragon are battling as hard as they possibly can for this P3 position and a chance to battle with the top 2, and it looks like J-Luke is going to have this position, but Evil Dragon has gotten an amazing exit out of turn 3, and he's going to have a chance up the inside now. He needs to brake super late, but he's actually backed out of that move, and J-Luke is going to maintain that podium position for now. You can see that's a mistake there from Futile Rydog once again, just like we saw in the sprint race. He has gone round for a spin and he falls all the way down to the very back of the grid. It's P20 for the Haas driver as he tries to make his way past Alls, but that is a big mistake there from the Haas driver. And it looks like Bahrain just is not his circuit. You can see a lot of battling in the midfield. ERL Smitty is looking to the inside of not one but two drivers as he tries to get the better exit over Colin R. Mason on the exit of turn 11. I don't think he's going to be able to pull alongside, but he's under pressure from Casper behind him, who's trying to gain positions off of this race start. He has a look to the outside of turn 11, but he cannot commit to that move just yet, and so he has to stay in P11, but he's looking to overtake quite soon now. Speed Kai very close to the back of Gazaman ahead of him. He seems to be struggling a little bit more on those soft compounded tyres, and Speed Kai looking to take advantage of this. He looks to the inside line coming into turn number 14 and he gets that move done. He's now got Axlock ahead of him, and the championship leader in the P2 tier. It's going to be quite the battle between the Ferrari and the Red Bulls, which seems to be a recurring theme this season.
Delta Hunter had a massive spin at turn 10, hence why he's at the back now. He's coming to the pits, as is Cam K Mum, and I've got a question actually for Futsal, because did he use the reset to track when he had his spin? Because I think he had a come together with Cam K Mum, didn't he? And spun round. I think he may have reset to the track, hence why he was on the racing line and drivers are having to dodge their way around him. So I think the stewards may have a bit of a word with him afterwards, because you are not allowed to use the reset to track unless any exceptional circumstances like what we saw in the sprint earlier today, because we had a driver beached in the gravel trap, didn't we, and he used it to avoid getting disqualified by the game itself. I think that's fine, but the fact that Futsal, I think, may have used the reset to track to get back onto the racing lines. Otherwise, if he'd done it the normal way, he wouldn't have rejoined back onto the racing line the way he did. So I think the stewards will be having words with him after the race is done, and just explain whether he actually used the reset to track or not and provide footage. We've got two AlphaTauris battling for 9th and 10th places as Casper runs wide ahead of Jordan. Stays ahead of him for now, but I imagine Jordan will be back for more during the course of the next few laps or so before we start seeing more pit stops from the field. We've got Jason in the lead then, 3/10 clear of Lukey, but Lukey has got DRS. Oh, and Jason nearly dropped it on the exit of the last turn, and Lukey had to almost slam on the brakes. He's got ahead of him now, and all of this is allowing Luke to close in also in the Alpine, and I think he's going to go up into second place also. So a bad mistake there by Jason at the end of the previous lap, and that has allowed the Alpine to go through ahead of him. So Luke through into P2 ahead of Jason, with Evil Dragon in 4th place. Then it's Waitsy in 5th. He's kept himself out of trouble pretty much at the start. Axlock up to 6th place after starting 14th on the grid. And with his rival for the title, Delta Hunter, down at the back, it's looking very good for Axlock as far as the championship is concerned. As it stands, he would be leading the championship going into the next round as we reach the halfway point in this season. As Peru goes for a spin by the looks of it. And I think he may have hit the barrier. If he has, though, I wonder if he's suffered rear wing damage as a consequence. If he has, that's pretty much game over for his Grand Prix for tonight.
Yeah, definitely. The rear wing damage and even the underfloor damage on this game is absolutely brutal. And if you get it, the car becoming almost pretty much undrivable. So hopefully he doesn't have rear wing damage and he can continue on with his race. But that's a spin there for the Ferrari of TIR Jason. He's now falling all the way down. That's a spin through turn number 11. And the man who was battling for a race win today sees those hopes fall away as he falls all the way down to P16. And now he's in a bit of a backmarker battle here, and with everyone around him on soft compound tyres, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for him to make any moves. Now you can see Futile Rydog ahead of him, who made a mistake earlier on in this race, so very unlucky to see there from TIR Jason, but it's those little mistakes like that that can cost you a chance at a race win, as we've just seen. But it looks like Lukey and J-Luke, the two Lukes, are going to be battling for this main Grand Prix win. Although we still have Evil Dragon in the background. He's currently in P4 and still has a chance to catch up to them. Evil Dragon's pace hasn't been this good in the last couple of rounds, so it's amazing to see him up in P3. He's obviously put a lot of practice into this track, and he's now looking to make use of his ability at this circuit, but he has got pressure from Waitsy behind, and also Axlock and Speed Kai, so that's a very competitive top 6 now, and Evil Dragon is leading a train. of drivers who are going to be looking to take that position as soon as possible. They are all on the medium compounded tyre though. The only problem with that is the soft compounded tyre is going to begin to drop off at around lap 7 or so, is when it usually does at this circuit. So he'll have to consider when does he want to box, because I know he is definitely going to be feeling a lot of pressure from the guys behind. They could possibly even make moves in a couple of turns time. But you can see Jamie Met is currently losing a position to TIR Jason after a compromised line coming into turn 12. Jason, even though he did make that mistake, he's trying to make up positions and trying to get back to where he originally was, although it seems like quite the mountain to climb if he wants to do that, as quite a few positions are between himself and the top 4, but he makes another move on the likes of Futile Rydog. Meanwhile, we see ERL Smitty looking to the inside of ERT Jordan as we head into turn 1. Jordan very committed on the brakes, but he's gone a bit too deep into turn 1. That has allowed Smithy, I should say, to get into P9 and take the position away from the AlphaTauri. And Gazaman is now looking to get in on this action as he dives to the inside with the power of the soft compounded tyre. He's able to get past ERT Jordan. He's trying to put up a fight around the outside, but that's never going to work at turn 6 unless it's between the Red Bull and Ferrari of Speakai, as we saw earlier on in the race. But ERT Jordan getting overtaken twice in the matter of just 5 turns there. He's not going to be happy with that, but he needs to focus now on trying to get past these drivers, or possibly even just conserving his mediums. Those guys ahead of him are on the soft compounded tyre. They're not on the same strategy as him, so maybe he doesn't have to worry as much. Aero Specialist now is very close to the back of the Aston Martin of Boeing, along with Speed Kai, Axlock and Evil Dragon, who was overtaken by Waitsy. Sadly missed that as there was a battle going on, and ERL Smithy, the man who we were just watching, has had a spin down at turn 11. And he has lost many positions because of that. He's down all the way to P17, and he is last place of the runners who are yet to box in this race. So quite a costly mistake there for the Haas driver. But yeah, we missed it. Waitsy actually made the move on Evil Dragon, who's coming into the pit lane now for a set of soft compound tires. Meanwhile, the two Lukes are going at it. The Alpine moving himself up into P1, and he's now ahead on the soft compound tires, which are going to start to see a lot of tire wear soon. And Lukey not using any of his ERS. He's not too concerned about making the move just yet. He's going to hang on behind, but we're starting to see the first pit stops now, as that's another mistake down at turn 1. You can see it's caused a lot of chaos. Jason trying to find his way through it, and Jason is into P12 now, and he's got his Aston Martin ahead of him of Boeing as he looks to the outside. Not going to make a move just yet. That's a mistake from Futile Rydog, who's actually lost his front wing now, and that is why he's battling side by side through turn 6. Jason is just going to try and slip through here. He has to leave space on the inside for Futile Rydog, but you see he's now been overtaken by Jamie Med. He has the inside line on turn 8, but you can see contact made between the two of them. That's cost him a little bit of time, and it has lost him 2 positions in this race. And Futile Rydog, even with a broken front wing, is trying to look to the outside coming into turn 10, and you can see it's going to be a drag race between the two drivers, but even with the loss of downforce because of his front wing, he's not able to get ahead of Jamie Menton. He's going to be very slow into the turn 11, which allows Jason to move himself back up into P12 and on the back of Jamie Met. But you saw Evil Dragon came into the pit lane, so it seems we're seeing the first couple of drivers starting to box now.
So we've got Luke in the pits from what was second place, wasn't it? So he is in for his first of 2. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. That'll be the Haas of Smithy going for a spin at turn 13. He's not having a good race so far. We've got the AlphaTauri of Casper coming in the AlphaTauri, as is Futile, as is Jamie Met. Jamie Met will be serving 5 seconds also for corner cutting, I believe, and the 5-second time penalty has been dished out to Futile for speeding in the pit lane. So that'll be him taking that at the next pit stop he does. We've got a spin in sector 3. So that's Smithy's spun again. It is. And I wonder that it's going to be a retirement for him. I think he may have hit the barrier with that rear wing hitting against it. So Smithy's race could well be at an end for tonight, and it is. So Smithy is the first retirement of this Grand Prix, out after only 7 laps of the 29. Lukey in the lead with Waitsy in P2 now. Remember, these have still yet to stop, so the highest of those that have stopped, Luke is in 10th place now after his pit stop. He's rejoined well ahead of Evil Dragon, And I'd imagine that Lukey's going to go on a much longer first stint before he pits in, presumably for the soft compound. As I've already mentioned, you've got to make at least 2 pit stops in a Grand Prix in one hub racing. As we watch the leaders make their way through, as is Atzlock, he was one of them, running very, very well up in 4th position in the Red Bull, closing up on the Ferrari of Speakai, who has had a respectable run so far tonight. Jason had that spin earlier. And going back to what I was saying about Jason, because at turn 11 when he had that spin, he actually nearly clipped the Haas as he rejoined going into turn 12 there, as his car was become visible from being ghosted. Jordan coming in from 9th position in the AlphaTauri. It might have been 8th place, but either way, he's pitted in and gone onto the hard compound, so we expect him to go on a long second stint before he pits in for the softs at the end. As we watch the leaders go through turn 8, as Lukey leads ahead of Waiting 6. So Williams 1-2. It's a long time since I've said that. Speakai 3rd place ahead of Axelock. Then it's Colin in 5th in the Alfa Romeo, followed by Aero Specialist and Bowen, who's under threat from the Ferrari of Jason, who has not pitted yet. It may look like he had pitted, but he had spins, not pit stops, so far during the course of this one. Luke is in 9th place now in the Alpine on track, which is the net race lead once all those ahead of him have pitted. Evil Dragon is closing in on him actually in the Mercedes. He's pulling out all the stops at the moment, so he's having a better time of it in this stint than Luke is. I think Luke may have made a mistake somewhere, which has allowed Evil Dragon to close right up on him. Casper doing the same in the AlphaTauri, ahead of Cam K Mum, who made that pit stop at the end of lap 2, I believe. And he's in 12th place in the Mercedes, going on a long second stint before he pits in again. And then we've got all those who have had their own incidents so far during the course of this one, as Waitsy pits in from P2. Now, where is this going to feed him back out? Because he's got Aero Specialist going ahead of him. Bone will go in front of him. Or, well, he won't know because he's coming into the pits also. I think Waitsy may just come out behind Luke, but we'll have to wait and see. I think he's going to get in front of him, actually. So this could be a net change of lead here, more, as Waitsy exits the pits.
Yeah, and this could be quite crucial in how this race goes down. Waitsy on the overcut strategy has gotten out ahead. The only reason he is out ahead is because J-Luke has gone through that tyre warm-up phase. Waitsy yet to do it. He's going to have to get the heat into these tyres as quickly as possible. And as he comes through turn 4, you can see the grip difference. And J-Luke didn't even go for a move there, but just had the superior grip, and so much so that he was able to just fly past Waitsy. So J-Luke back into the net race lead, but Waitsy is quite close to the race leader now, which I don't think he was before, so he's played his strategy quite nicely there with the overcut. He's now got fresher tyres. The only problem is he has got harder tyres, so he is going to be a little bit slower for the next couple of laps, and he is going to feel the pressure from Evil Dragon behind, who is currently competing for a podium in this Grand Prix, and Waitsy is looking to put a stop to that on the hard compound of tyre, which he should be stretching towards the end of the race, where he will most likely be boxing for the soft compound of tyre. So it looks like a lot of the drivers going for a soft, hard, medium strategy, or a medium, hard, soft, or whatever order they are deciding to go with, as I think that is going to be the main strategy, since these drivers only really have one set of mediums to make use of. TIR Jason now is into the pit lane for a fresh set of soft compound of tyre. So he's going to be saving the hard compound until the very end of the Grand Prix. He obviously needs to gain as much time as possible, so maybe this soft compound tyre strategy is the right one to be with, as he'll be able to gain quite a bit of time from being on the fastest compound of tyre. We'll have to see how it plays out relative to the drivers ahead. You can see, I think, what a lot of the top 5, I think it is now, I think they're going for a little bit of a different approach. They're really going to stretch these medium tyres for all of their worth, because I think they might be going for a medium soft. I could be wrong, but that would be a very aggressive strategy, although I think Aero Specialist is definitely doing it. He's starting on the hard compounded tires, and if he does that, he can go to the softs and another set of soft compound tires. So I think Aero Specialist is definitely on that strategy, but the fact that the top 4 have all structured tires for 10 laps definitely signals that they will most likely be using 2 sets of soft compound tires in this race. Meanwhile, Evil Dragon gets past Waitsy, moving himself up into P7 in this Grand Prix. Waitsy is playing a bit of a long game now. He's not going to be pushing as aggressively because he's on the hards. He's going to wait for them to come into play and be faster than the mediums, although that will take a few laps. So he's just going to have to sit in the DRS of Evil Dragon ahead of him for now. Colin Mason is into the pit lane. He's coming on to a set of soft compound tires, that is. I do not think he can do a medium soft. So I think he's actually switched up his strategy, seen the tire wear levels, and he's now going for a medium soft hard, although that is only a guess, and it's my best guess. But you can see he's come out 3 wide with the likes of Waitsy and Evil Dragon, who were caught in a battle when Colin R. Mason came out of the pit lane on the soft compounded tires. They may be cool, but they heat up quite quickly now as Colin R. Mason into the slipstream of Evil Dragon ahead of him, and he does get out ahead of Waitsy, so that is quite crucial for his Grand Prix, and it looks like the overcut strategy is really starting to work now for a lot of the drivers. Staying out gains you that track position, and once you have that track position, it's a lot easier to defend because of the DRS trains that are starting to form. You can see there's a little one starting to form between P6, 7, 8 and 9, and that is going to make it very tricky for overtaking, but Colin R. Mason has the advantage. He has the DRS advantage over Evil Dragon. He also has the soft compounded tires, which is going to help him quite a lot in his charge for what could possibly be the race win. Only 2.4 seconds separate J. Luke and Evil Dragon, so he has stopped gaining time. But if Colin R. Mason was to overtake with the soft compounded tires, I think he will be able to close up that gap. So let's see if he can. I think he's going to be going for a move quite soon as they make their way into turn number 14 to end off this lap number 13. And let's see, he doesn't use any of his ERS, so maybe just waiting a little longer for his soft compound tires to get up to temperature before committing to a move on Evil Dragon ahead of him. And as they go into turn 1, Evil Dragon is going to maintain that P6 position, and Colin R. Mason is going to wait patiently. This is what he's been known for all season, although maybe he's picking his time. It's now he's seen that he's got a better exit through turn 3, and Colin R. Mason on the soft compounded tires. It's little competition, although Evil Dragon does try to hold it around the outside. Sadly, has not worked out for him. Colin R. Mason inside line for turn 6. That is always going to work out, and Colin R. Mason moves himself up. You can see Casper and Waitsy going side by side through turn 6 and 7. Absolutely amazing to see Casper with the inside for turn number 8 now, trying to get past the Williams, but the Williams has defended his position quite nicely. And on the hard compounded tire too, he's still waiting and waiting and waiting for these hard tires to get faster relative to the mediums, but he's starting to struggle a lot now. Casper on the DRS straight, he has the straight line speed advantage, and he also has a grip advantage coming into turn 11, and he finally gets that move done on Waitsy. But was all that battling worth it? Casper is now below 10% ERS, and he's lost DRS to Evil Dragon ahead of him, and that is not going to do him any favours in this race. But it looks like the top 3 are beginning to box, with Axel coming into the pit lane for a fresh set of soft compound tyres.
So will Luke actually get in front of Axel? Because Axel had been on the mediums before Luke came in, and Luke has had to fight it out with other cars, hasn't he? There's Axel coming out of the pits. I think he's going to go in front of Luke, actually. So will Axel get up to speed straight away? He should do, because he's on a tyre compound that is 1, softer, and 2, the tyre stint of that is not going to be as long as what Luke's mediums are. So I think Axel is going to actually stay in front this time, ahead of the Alpine, which is very important for Axel's race. And now he's very much in play for the race victory, you would have thought. This is really, really good for Axel's race, as in contrast to his teammate, Delta Hunter, who's down in 18th place. He's got with it all to do from there. He's going to have to hope for a safety car at some point. But he's now in 4th place, which could well become the race lead once everyone else has pitted. Well, Luke is yet to pit, as is Speakai, as is Aero Specialist, but we expect Aero Specialist to remain out there for a little bit longer. But Axel has still got another pit stop to make as well. So, yeah, it's definitely a mixture of strategies. between everyone else on the grid as we had expected it to. As Lukey comes in now from the race lead, Speakai goes in front. And where is this going to place Lukey? Well, he's going to get out behind Axlock, I would have thought. Let's see how quick his pit stop is going to be. So he stops now. Soft tyres going on the Williams. We've got the Red Bull of Axlock and the Alpine of J. Luke coming through. And I think we're going to see... Oh, it's going to be nip and tuck, but I think Lukey's going to retain his position ahead of Axlock. So, really important pit stop that for Lukey, who's now effectively in front as far as the race is concerned, but his tyres won't be up to temperature, unlike Axlock's will be. So he needs to get up to speed very quickly before the Red Bull gets up to the gearbox of him. We've got Speakai in the lead then, with Air Specialist in P2 on his own, managing his own race. He had a really solid time of it in the sprint because he had rear wing damage to his car, hence why he pitted and retired before the checkered flag. Deltons has just made a move out to 16th position ahead of Jamie Met. Nothing to be, you know, blown away by, but he's up there into 16th position. Now remember, there is a point up for grabs for the driver outside the top 10 with the fastest lap. And there's a separate point also for the driver inside the top 10 with the fastest lap. So if Delta Hunter knows he's not going to get inside the top 12, he may as well duck into the pits with a couple of laps remaining and get a set of soft tyres on to go for the fastest lap.
Yeah, definitely. And
Speakai's in.
Yeah, you can see Speakai now coming into the pit lane for the soft compounded tyres. And, well, so far in this race, the overcut strategy seems to be the way to go for most of the drivers. So let's see if it works out for Speakai. He was behind Lukey before the pit stops. Let's see truly how powerful is this overcut. Is he going to get out ahead? I think no is the answer. And I think he's actually going to come out behind Axlock and J-Luke. And we'll have to see as J-Luke coming to turn 1, as Axlock is actually making a move down the inside of the Williams of Lukey, and he moves himself up into P2 in the net race lead of this Grand Prix. So Axlock driving an amazing race so far. Speakai comes out ahead of J-Luke, who is currently on the worn medium compounded tyres, so he's going to be struggling a lot compared to the soft runners ahead of him. Casper to the inside line of Evil Dragon as they come into turn 4. Evil Dragon attempting to hold this around the outside of turn number 6. Is it going to work? They go side by side once again. This is some amazing action. We've seen it before. Side by side through turn 6 and 7, and we're seeing it again. Casper trying to go for a switchback move on Evil Dragon. Does not work out for him just yet, but it looks like these two are going to be locked in battle for quite a few laps now. Evil Dragon was obviously quite a few more positions up the road and was battling for a podium earlier on in this race, but obviously he started on the soft compounded tyre and he's now got to endure the mediums and also the hard compounded tyres, unless he's got another set of mediums, which I don't think he does. So yeah, he's going to be a lot slower for the rest of the race. He took all of his pace at the very start. You can see he's starting to drop down a couple of positions because of it. That's a yellow flag. I'm not too sure who that's
Colin.
actually for. That's Colin. Yeah, you're
Colin.
right. He's lost a lot of time to the top 5 there. Now 5 seconds behind J-Luke after he was trying to push on to catch up to the Alpine ahead of him. Lukey and Axlock still battling away. Axlock defends the inside lines to head into turn 1, and Lukey is going to attempt the outside line. He tries to go for a switchback, but Axlock calls it. Brakes nice and early, defends the inside line and maintains P1. But Lukey getting another dose of DRS. He has another chance into this turn 4. Once again, Axlock inside line. Is he going to predict the switchback? No, he actually goes quite deep. So changing up his defense through every turn. You can see Casper is now off now at the first sector on the exit of turn 3, and Casper, who's doing so well, once again just makes that little error and it's cost him so much. He falls down to P11 and at this stage is only going to be picking up about 2 points, and that's if he can keep ahead of his teammate of ERT Jordan, because he now seems to be struggling from overheating after that spin.
Yeah, I was just going to say he overheated his tyres when he was turning the car around, so that's hence why he was very much out of shape coming out of these slow corners there of turn 4. And yeah, he just needs to be very careful. I can imagine they'll have cooled down a little bit by now, so he may be able to get on the power a little bit more confidently, if that makes sense. But that spin won't have done him any favours, and I just hope he hasn't damaged the rear wing or the floor with that, because that can have a massive performance differential, if that makes sense. of massive performance difference, I should say. But yeah, Casper's not having a good time of it. He had a good time of it a few weeks back. The last round we had in Japan that he had won, but yeah, it can't be the same can't be said tonight. As far as I'm concerned. But we've got a battle for the lead again because Lukey's right round the outside of Axel coming into turn 1. Is this going to be a change of lead between these two? It is for now. We've got the Ferrari right in there who could be the race leader by the time this battle comes to an end at turn 4 if it does end. Axel on the inside, the Ferrari round the outside, and both get past the Williams at the same time. This is brilliant racing again. Axel still holding his nerve on the outside again. He's got the inside for turn 6. And the outside for 7, but the Ferrari's still there. Axel runs wide, and the Ferrari's gone through. Now, Axel needs to be careful. He doesn't gain an advantage by going off the racetrack. He slots back into second place as Speakai takes the lead at the front. But Axel may have something of a point there because he may have felt that he was pushed out wide there by the Ferrari, but I don't think Speakai did anything wrong but keep his foot in it.
Yeah, definitely a great battle there between the top 3, and it's going to continue on because Lukey is going to want to get back up into that race lead. Obviously lost both positions there, and Speed Kai, you don't see that very often, moving from P3 all the way to P1, usually being the third man in the DRS train. It's very difficult. You can see that's a spin there for Waitsy in the middle sector, and I think that was contact between himself and Evil Dragon, who were going side by side through turn number 11. Waitsy has lost a lot of time in that. And you can see a lot of drivers just making these mistakes and having these little scraps with the other drivers. And Waitsy is another one who's lost a lot of positions because of that. So himself, Casper and Delta Hunter, all drivers who took grid penalties and are struggling in this Grand Prix. So definitely a shame to see. But he is now going to have to continue on and try to gain back some ground to the drivers ahead, particularly to TIR Jason, who's looking to the inside of Camk Mom into turn number 1. And with the soft compound tires, he's easily able to get past the hard compound tire runner of Camk Mom. Meanwhile, Evil Dragon getting overtaken by Aero Specialist after that. After the contact between himself and Casper, although Camk Mom is still trying to fight back against TIR Jason, but just simply does not have the overall grip that Jason has on the soft compound of tires. And there's now a battle between Waitsy and Casper. I think that might have been a mistake from Waitsy, as he lost quite a bit of time to Casper. That's a spin for Boeing in the first sector now, and he has lost the position to one McLaren. That could be 2, as All's coming into turn 4. He's going to look to the outside line, but he cannot make that move just yet. So Boeing losing 1 position because of that spin. And obviously no points up for grabs for the positions that they're battling in, but they are still going to be trying their hardest to stay ahead of one another. Meanwhile, towards the front of the grid, Speed Kai was stuck in P3. Now that he's got himself up into the lead of the Grand Prix, he is leading, and by quite some margin. 1.5 seconds separate the top 2, and that is quite some pace that Speed Kai is displaying on lap 20 of 29. Lukey having a little look to the inside of turn 1, and he now commits to the move on Axel, who predicts him going deep. He tries to go for a switchback move, gets a better exit out of turn 3. He does not have the power of DRS, so he was just ahead coming into the detection point, and that now means Lukey is able to get himself up into P2. And well, let's see what Lukey's pace is like out in P2. Can he catch himself back up to the Ferrari of Speed Kai? Have to see, but it's now 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds now. Speed Kai is absolutely flying on the fresher soft compound of tires relative to Lukey and Axok, and this is really going to help out his race efforts. And he also gets the power of the overcut, which has already proven to be the superior strategy at this circuit. Speed Kai is on for an absolutely amazing result at this Bahrain Grand Prix. Meanwhile, his teammate TIR Jason has come into the pit lane to make his final stop of this Grand Prix for the soft compounded tires, which he will be stretching for 9 laps. That is going to be very difficult and quite the challenge, as tire wear is going to be quite bad for him, but he is going to try it out, and we'll have to see if he can make it to the end of this Grand Prix and hopefully score some points with this aggressive strategy. Meanwhile, Colinar makes it on 8-lap old soft compound tires. He's really going to have to consider boxing soon, He boxed quite early for the softs, and he is going to be going for a medium soft strategy, just like the top 3. J-Luke comes into the pit lane, and Colin R. Mason deciding to follow him in now. And we're going to have to see where are these two going to come out. Are they going to come out in traffic, or are they going to get a bit of clean air to push their soft compound tires to the end of this Grand Prix? J-Luke now. He had to take a little bit of pain there with the medium compound tires, lost quite a few positions, but he is now back onto the softs and has a good chance at possibly battling for a podium and maybe even a race win. Meanwhile, that's Waitsy going side by side with Casper through turn 1. So these two have been battling for quite a few laps now. Waitsy currently out on top, and Casper is going to be trying to fight back into turn 4 with the power of DRS. Cannot get close enough just yet as we head into this 4th turn. You can see now the top 3 are really starting to spread out once again, just like we saw in the sprint race. Axok 1 second off of Lukey, which means he no longer has DRS down this DRS straight, and Aero Specialist is also 7.2 seconds behind Evil Dragon, another for Camk. Wacy, the only driver in the top 8 to have DRS is Casper, so you can see there's a little bit of field spread starting to emerge, and that's just because of the tire difference between the drivers. Obviously Axok has more worn tires compared to Speed Guy, and also Lukey as well, as he boxed a lot earlier than those two drivers. But yeah, you can see these drivers are going to have to consider boxing. Is Axok going to come into the pit lane? Yes, is the answer. He comes in for his final stop in this Grand Prix, in his final set of soft compound tires. We'll have to see where is he going to come out relative to J-Luke. The overcut will hopefully help him out, and I think he will be getting out ahead. Meanwhile, Casper very close to the back of Waity. These two have been battling for quite a while now. It does not seem to be calming down anytime soon, although maybe it is. Casper into the pit lane for his soft compound tires, which will take him to the end of the Grand Prix. So a lot more people starting to box now, and the interesting is the strategy, I should say, is going to start to get really interesting now at this late phase in this Grand Prix.
So Axel's just rejoined in front of Jordan, who will want to get a run on him, but the thing is, Axel's only just pitted for the soft, so we should expect to see Axel pull away from the AlphaTauri as they come out of turn 5. Yep, it's just like I say, he's got a lot more grip and traction on the exit, and so Axel should remain in front for now. He needs to make these soft tyres last, and also he needs to make sure he's got an undercut completed on those he's battling with for the victory. So Speakai, Lukey are the two that he's pretty much battling with, because Aero Specialist, Evil Dragon and Waitsy have yet to take their second pit stops. And Jalen had pitted also, so he's just rejoined at the back of the field, but at least he's got both his stops done now. So I'll hear him down at the back. He's still got that penalty of 3 seconds for chart limits, that'll be. So he's the only driver with a penalty in this race, which would have no effect to his race results as it stands. We've got the top 2 pitting in now, more. So this is a very pittable point in this Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely. Lukey and Speed Guy both into the pit lane now, and at very similar times. So obviously to get those soft compound tires on, to get the maximum out of them for these final 7 laps of racing, including lap 23 of course. So they're going to do 7 laps on this soft compound, which is 1 more than Speed Guy had done on his 6-lap soft compound tires. Let's see how it works out. Waitsy has not boxed, and does he have to make another stop? Yes, is the answer. So he's still got 1 more stop to make in this race, so he is not going to be battling with these guys. Meanwhile, one man who is battling is Axok with Lukey on the cold soft compound tires, and Lukey with the cold tires goes deep into turn number 4. And that is what has gained Axok P3 in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, J-Luke, who went for a bit more of an undercut strategy, is now almost into the DRS of the top 4. And he could be battling for a net podium here. Obviously, Waitsy still to make a stop, so Lukey and Axok are both on the podium at this stage of the affairs. So it's going to be quite the battle between the top 5. Obviously, after Waitsy boxes, it'll be just the 2 Lukes, Axok and Speed Kai, who is still clear of Axok and Lukey. So he's doing an absolutely fantastic job so far in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, further towards the back, you can see Aero Specialist on the fresher softs. He's going to be battling it out with Colin R. Mason, who's looking to keep up his streak of top 5 finishes. He's finished in the top 5 in every single Grand Prix so far, and that is why he's currently at P3 in this championship. But Aero Specialist could look to put a stop to that as Waitsy now comes into the pit lane for his final stop of the Grand Prix. Lukey is not able to make the move just yet. Obviously, Axel getting the power of DRS from Waitsy ahead of him. So Lukey simply does not have the straight line speed, but he definitely will have a better run for the next couple of laps. Axel 3 seconds behind our race leader, and he is definitely going to feel that disadvantage of having no DRS now. But yeah, you can see Waitsy coming out quite a few positions behind where he was, and he has now come out just behind Casper, and those two will be battling it out for P11 and P12, with Waitsy having the fresher soft tyres. Hopefully he'll be able to make use of those and get past Casper into P11. But you can see Evil Dragon is currently P9. He has got a 3-second time penalty, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's 3 seconds. He is on the back of Delta Hunter though. Has Delta Hunter still got a stop to make in this race? Yes, he has. He's still got one more stop, so he's really gone for a bit of a monster stint on these hard compound tires. He's still got one more stop to go. It does not look likely that the man who's currently P2 in the championship will be scoring any points today, and his championship rival is currently P2 in the race, and you can see the grip difference between the softs and the old hards. Evil Dragon sailing around the outside of turn 12. You're not going to see that too often. A great move there from Evil Dragon, and just making use of what he's got in this Grand Prix. Speed Kai currently out in P1. He's gained a second in a single lap and has now got the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Lukey getting quite close to the back of Axog, but he's going to start to wait now and play a bit of a long game, save up the ERS, and it looks like he will be making his move towards the end of this Grand Prix. Or is he, as it comes into turn 4, not using any of the ERS, and you can see lifting off of the throttle there. He does not want to make the move just yet, so looks like a bit of strategy is going to come into play here between Lukey and Axog.
Speakai's pit stop had allowed him to maintain his lead at the front. He didn't even get involved in the fight with Axlock and Lukey, so all this battling is allowing Speakai to pull further clear ahead of the rest as Axlock looks to fend off his second place, which he would have taken at the beginning of it, certainly with Delta Hunter, who's potentially going to fall out of the points because he's still got one more pit stop to make. Speedtile gets a time penalty for track limits now, so that'll be him out of the points. Unfortunately, he's down in 15th, but that penalty wouldn't drop him back another position anyway. So we've got a battle for second place now, as the battle for the win is pretty much sewn up. Who's going to come out on top in this battle then between Axel, Lukey and Luke? Because this has been going on now during the course of the race between these three drivers. Maybe not for the race, or maybe not for second place necessarily, but for the race win. But with Speakai making the strategy work, staying out an extra lap in comparison to Axlock, who pitted the lap earlier, it's allowed Speakai to pull clear and maintain his lead. He's got a gap of nearly 5 seconds now over Axlock in second place. So even if he was to get a track limits penalty, he would still keep the race victory, as Lukey thinks about a move on Axlock. He did think about it going down the start finish straight as Aero Specialist gets past Colin for 5th place. So that's 2 Alpines in the top 5 now, which will come good for them in the teams championship come the end of the race. As we watch Lukey dive into the outside as Axlock closes the dot. I'm just looking at Axlock's change of movement there, because he moved once and then he moved again before the braking zone, so he needs to be careful not to be doing that too many times, as weaving like that can catch up with you. I don't think Lukey complained too much about it because he knew what Axlock was going to do, but Axlock just needs to be careful in terms of how he places the car before the braking zone. It's okay now, but in the future laps he just needs to make sure he leaves enough space, which he did so, but he won't want to be weaving across the racetrack like he was doing so that time. So Lukey in second place, or third place rather, with Luke in 4th as Aero Specialist. Should he pull away from Colin, which he is doing, he should be content with 5th position unless anything happens in this three-way fight for P2. Delta Hunter is still yet to make a pit stop. I wonder if he's going to wait until the end of the 27th lap to come in for his pit stop so he can go for the fastest lap and get that championship point for getting the fastest lap out of those outside the top 10.
Yeah, I think that's definitely looking like a likely strategy. Good job on pointing that one out. He's really stretching these hard tires, and I think that is because he is going to be going for a fastest lap point. You can see Lukey just has so much straight line speed now as we come down the pit straight, and as he comes into turn 1, he has little but no choice to actually overtake Lukey there, or Axlock I should say. So could see how powerful the DRS is. He didn't even want to overtake, but the game pretty much forcing him there because of the DRS. So Lukey is up into P2, but he's in the worst position here. So Lukey, he has the lead over Axok. The only problem is now he does not have DRS. So yeah, just a bit unlucky there by having too much speed. It's not something you'd probably catch an F1 driver saying, but it is what has ended up happening. So Axok is in the best position now, and it's lap 27 of 29, and only a few more overtaking opportunities, I should say, to go in this Grand Prix. So Axok is going to be patient now. He hasn't got much ERS, but it's the same case for Lukey. Both drivers under 30% ERS, and J-Luke has just been sitting in the background waiting for a possible opportunity, and you can definitely bet that he is going to be taking advantage of the chaos that is definitely about to ensue for P2 in this Grand Prix, and he'll be wanting to get himself onto the podium. But Axok knows his teammate is quite far down the order, and this is a chance to gain some big points in this championship. He is not making the move just yet on this penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, which now means he will be going absolutely full send on the final lap to try and make the move on Lukey. Obviously, that means Lukey isn't going to be getting any more DRS for the final lap, so it's going to be difficult to overtake. But is it going to work out? Does Lukey have enough ERS to defend as Delta Hunter now comes into the pit lane? And you were dead right when you thought he was going to go for a fastest lap point. And that is exactly what he's going to do. So he still can get 1 point to his name in the championship, which, well, it'll help him out, but he is still going to come away with a loss from this Grand Prix. J-Luke now in the background. He's got more ERS than the two ahead, and he's going to have to use absolutely all of it. We are coming now through the middle sector and getting ready to start the final lap of this Grand Prix. It's going to be quite interesting. Does Lukey have enough ERS? If he does, and he can defend coming into turn 1, I think he's got a good chance at finishing P2 in this Grand Prix. But the exit out of turn 14 is going to be absolutely crucial to whether or not Axok can make this move. Currently 5 tenths, I should say, is the gap between Lukey and Axok, although it comes down as Axok has the advantage of slipstream. Now we come out of turn 14 and 15 to start the final lap of this Grand Prix. Lukey on the pit straight. Axok not using a lot of his ERS actually, and he's predicted that Lukey was going to use it absolutely all on this pit straight, so he's possibly going to wait for a move coming into turn 4 to actually make the move for P2 in this Grand Prix. As they come through turn 2 and 3 now, has Axok left it too late? He's using his ERS, he has the power of DRS, he's not close enough coming into turn 4 to make the move on the Williams driver, and he's now got little to no chance of overtaking. He's going to have to pull something out of the bag here if he wants to get P2 in this Grand Prix, or is he just content with P3 and a podium in this race as we head into turn 8? He's trying to close down the gap between himself and the Williams, but he's not getting close enough. As you can see, as we head into turn 9 and turn 10, he's not very close at all. He's going to need a monster exit out of this turn. That's not what he's calling it. He's used his ERS, he's using the DRS, but he is not going to be close enough to make the move on Lukey. And Lukey has played this quite nicely for himself. When both drivers were low on ERS, he moved up into P2, got the lead of the top 3, or I should say out of P2, P3 and P4, and he's now going to come away with P2 with Speed Kai. The man has been absolutely on form ever since making that double overtake for the lead of the Grand Prix from P3. He has absolutely dominated this Grand Prix. So Speed Kai is going to come across the line to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lukey brings it home in P2 with Axok finishing on the podium and gaining big points on his teammate and his championship rival. J-Luke manages to finish P4 right ahead of his teammate of Aero Specialist in P5. Colin R. Mason loses his top 5 streak as he finishes in P6, but still has finished in the top 6 in every race so far. So Did a bit of a George Russell there for the first 4 rounds. Jason finishes in P7 with 10 lap old soft compound tyres. Cam K and Evo Dragon, the two Mercedes drivers, getting a double points finish. Waitsy in P10 and Casper and ERT Jordan, the two AlphaTauris, round out the points paying positions. But that was quite an exciting race, and once again this P2 tier just producing so much action in this Bahrain Grand Prix.
He did so. I wonder if the stewards may have a word with Speakai afterwards, because he was crossing over the line at a very, very slow rate. I understand it was for the victory, but it's just the fact that it doesn't look like good in terms of driving standards when you see a car cross over the line like that, because he was still technically racing when he was slowing down like that. So I wonder if the stewards may have a little bit of a word with him after it. But he is a deserving race winner, ahead of Lukey, who comes home in second place, ahead of Axlock, as we were about to see the top three come out onto the podium in what's been a very strategic, compelling and wonderful Bahrain Grand Prix under the lights here in Sakhir. It's a huge rebound for Ferrari, because if you remember, they came away from Monza pointless in the P2 tier, but now they've got some good points here tonight here in Bahrain. So there's Speakai collecting his race winners trophy. There are the Ferrari crew completely jubilant and seeing one of their drivers standing on the top step of the podium this evening. So whilst we'll go through the classification in terms of who has ended up where, I will mention that Delta Hunter did get the fastest lap out of those outside the top 10 on that last lap. So here is your result then for the race. Speakai wins, ahead of Lukey, ahead of Axlock in third. There's Luke, Aerospecialist, in fifth, followed by Colin. Jason in seventh, ahead of Campaign Mum and Evil Dragon. Waitsy, Casper and Jordan ran out the point scorers. Gazman was 13, followed by Futile. Delta Hunter 15, but gets a point for fast lap outside, for those outside the top 10. Bowen, Peru, Jamie Met and Ols with the rest of the finishers. Smithy did not finish. And a quick glimpse of the sprint race result in case you missed that earlier. Lukey won that as well. So it's been a good night's work for Lukey in One Hub Racing, with Jason getting a second in that. Speakai third also. So you have to say for Speakai, it's been a very, very brilliant evening for him with where he has ended up. And the thing is with Axlock as well, 14th to second in the main race as well, or 14th to third, I should say. But nevertheless, he's got the championship lead back from his championship rival Delta Hunter, who had a night to forget in Bahrain. So it's time for our drivers of the day. Do you want me to go first this time, or do you want to go first?
Go on. I'd love to hear your driver of the day, because there were a lot of impressive performances today.
There was, and my driver of the day, I'm going to give it to Axlock for rebounding from his nightmare in the sprint in the race. So my question for Axlock would be this. So you've got the championship lead back. You've got not a convincing lead, but a good lead going to the halfway point of this championship. Is Delta Hunter your main rival, or do you still feel there is a few others out there that can still snatch the title from yours and Delta Hunter's grasps? So that's my question. Who is your driver of the day, more, and what question have you got for that driver?
Well, I think mine kind of leads off yours, because my driver of the day for Bahrain, round 5 Bahrain Grand Prix is going to have to be Speed Kai. He drove an absolutely amazing Grand Prix ever since making a double overtake, which was absolutely phenomenal to see in the first sector, and got himself up into the race lead. He absolutely flew away from the rest of the grid, and with no safety cars, helped him out quite a bit. He was able to keep on extending that gap, and he won today's Grand Prix. And well, my question for him would be, after such a big points haul at this Bahrain Grand Prix, do you feel confident that you could possibly gun for the championship and take it away from the two Red Bulls? And yeah, because I think it's definitely possible. He was about 30 points behind coming into this round, but with such a massive points haul like that, I think it's somewhere around almost 40 points. So yeah, I mean, or 35 points I should say, or somewhere around that. I think he definitely could possibly have a chance at fighting for this championship. He showed great pace in the early stage of the season. He's been a little bit unlucky in the past round or two, but he is looking to bounce back and show everyone that he is fast enough to battle for this championship. But I hope you all enjoyed this Bahrain Grand Prix and this sprint round here in the P2 tier. Obviously 2 in a row, although it doesn't feel that way after our big Christmas break. But I hope to see you all next week for round number 6. And well, if this round is anything to go off of, I know there was a sprint race, but still produce amazing action in the main event itself. So I hope to see you all next week for round number 6, where we go to Singapore. A very tricky circuit, but still manages to produce some good racing action. This has been More Games and Tom Carnes, and we hope to see you all next week for round number 6 of season 20.